Hey guys, what's going on? Part 2, dehydration. Okay, so we dehydrated the fruits. We dehydrated the pineapple, the blueberries, and we also have some strawberries. There's some other stuff that I'm going to do as well, some kiwi, different things like that. Apples, becoming fall, I do a lot of apples as well. Apple chips are very good. Today we're doing like the meat and potatoes type of dehydration. Now, one thing about camping and backpacking and hunting and things like that is you want to be fairly light. You don't want to carry a lot of stuff with you. So by dehydrating, it takes up less space, it's lighter, and you're going to carry water with you anyway, as well as possibly source water while you're out there, which we'll go over when I start doing some of the outdoor hunting videos, stuff like that. So today I got everything set up. We're going to do some canned chicken. Now, I can my own chicken with the pressure canner, but I also use canned chicken. Now this is all natural canned chicken. If you look on the ingredients, chicken breast, water, and salt. Okay? And what I do is I open these up, I put them in a strainer, I run some hot water over them, and I rinse them off really good just to get some of that salt, out of there, so you're not consuming all that salt. But with dehydration and preservation of food, salt is a good thing. So we have a few cans of this. We're going to open them up, put in the strainer, rinse it off, and then let them sit to get as much moisture out as we can. And then we're going to dehydrate that. And we're also going to do some mixed vegetables. Now I buy this from Sam's Club. It's an organic blend. Alright, well this is 4 pounds. It's about half full, so we're going to do about 2 pounds. We'll do all this today. Now with stuff like this, with carrots, corn, different types of peas, beans, I like to blanch them first. Now blanching is when you actually submerge them into some boiling water for a few minutes and kind of pre-cook them a little bit. What that does is when you dehydrate them, they shrink up a little bit more, but they also rehydrate faster because you only want to really rehydrate them. You don't want to have to cook them fully when you're out in the field cooking with an alcohol stove or something like that. You don't want to wait 20 minutes to sit there and boil and boil and boil for your carrots to get soft. So what we do is I have a strainer double boiler type of setup over here. What we're going to do is we're going to drop these in some boiling water for about 5 minutes, pull them out, rinse them, cool them down, and then dehydrate them. So let's get that going, and we'll get the cans open for the chicken, and we'll get dehydrating. Now for the chicken, I use a plastic strainer. I like this one because it has very small holes. You can use one of these steel mesh ones as well. But I'll put that in and rinse them off. Now using canned chicken, it works really well. I gotta say it works 10 times better than using like fresh chicken that you've baked. The pressure cooking inside the can softens it. It makes it almost so you can shred it, where standard chicken doesn't have that. It's hard to explain. If you can can your own chicken, it would work well. If you can't, I would highly recommend using the canned chicken breast. Stay with white meat and not the dark meat. Dark meat contains a little more fat, and the one thing with preserving or dehydrating is fat doesn't dehydrate very well. So you always want to use lean types of meat, which is chicken is basically the only one that I do. I do ground meat as well. I do dehydrate ground beef, but I try to find 90 or 95% lean. We will make a video of dehydrating some ground meat, but I don't eat much beef anymore, so we'll see how that works out. when I can actually do that for you guys. But right now we're going to use 3 cans of the dehydrated chicken. I'm sorry, 3 cans of canned chicken. It's chicken breast. It's 98% fat-free, so less fat, more stable, shelf life you'll get out of it. Whether you buy it canned or you can it yourself, really doesn't matter. I haven't noticed any difference in the dehydration or rehydration process. All right, let's get this chicken on the lower trays of the dehydrator. I don't want to put them on top of the vegetables. I'd rather put them down below. Put the meats on the bottom and my vegetables on top. It's the same way in your fridge. You should always put all your meats and everything else on the bottom levels of your fridge and all your raw foods up above from there. You don't want possibility of meat dripping down on something you might eat raw. Alright, so I put on my blue gloves, purple gloves. Everybody seems to like the gloves. You can see the chicken, some big chunks like this, which would be awesome, but will not dehydrate very well. So what you want to do is you want to break it apart into smaller pieces. And then just kind of spread them out on your dehydrating tray. Now I'm using a solid tray for these. It's actually called like a fruit roll-up tray. I'll show you one. I'm using a solid tray. There's no holes in it for the chicken because there's little tiny bits and pieces of chicken, and when it dries it will be a bit crumbly, so it stops it from falling through. These you can purchase. I'll see if I can find them and put them in the Amazon A store that I have, and I'll leave the link down below. So just break them up so that they're fairly even. I mean, you're really going to dehydrate these like crazy. These you want completely dry. Let's zoom in for a close-up of this so you can actually see how I have it laid out and what it looks like. Alright, so you can see how the chicken just shreds. That's what you want. You want it to be all shredded, nothing really clumped up, everything even. And you're really going to dehydrate this like crazy. You're going to make sure it's completely dry. Alright, well let's get the other trays, start loading the other trays, and we'll move on to the vegetables. Alright, 4 trays of chicken. Now on to the vegetables. Having the vegetables in this double, this strainer that goes right into the pot just makes everything so much easier. Carrots are soft. Everything's cooked. About 5 minutes, like I said. Empty this water out. I am doing this one-handed, so bear with me. And then we'll put it back in. There we go. So let's put this on the dehydrator trays. Now for the vegetables, I'm going to use these mesh trays. Now these here I got at Cabela's, but you can use almost anything that's mesh for the bottom. Just look for materials like either silicone, low density polyethylene, which is the LDPE, high density polyethylene, which is HDPE, or polypropylene or propylene number 2. Any of the 1s and 2s in that little triangle that you see for recycling, those are generally food safe. Stay away from the 7s and the 5s. 5s are generally polystyrene. You don't really want to keep those around too much. And the 7s are just a mix of all different plastics. Generally, again, not something you want to keep around. If you look on like your water bottles, food buckets, Tupperware containers, you'll generally see a 1 or a 2. And that's usually low density polyethylene or high density polyethylene. So look for stuff like that. Go to your craft store. Like I said, these were bought at Cabela's for like $6 for 3 of them or something like that. A couple of them came with it. These other ones came with the unit when I purchased it, but I wanted a few extras, so I bought them. Now, another question I got was, what size is the dehydrator? What size are the trays? These trays here, okay, they're 13.5 inches overall. So straight across, they're 13.5 inches, which gives me about a 12-inch working surface on the inside. I don't know if that helps at all, anybody, but it was a question I got, so I figured I would answer it. All right, so let's get the mixed vegetables laid out on the trays. All right, the vegetables are cool enough to handle. Let's get them on the trays. You know, as I'm putting this on here, I'm just spreading it out. Not being too fancy with it, just layer it on there and get it as thin and spread out as possible. Alright, so all 7 trays are full. We'll put the lid on it. We'll bring it downstairs. We'll set it at right around 140 to 150 degrees. Probably closer to 140, and I'd rather it go a little bit longer. You know, with any kind of preservation of foods and things like that, you know, everything should be fairly sanitary. You know, again, I said this in the last video as well. You want to start off with fresh ingredients. But some of the easiest ingredients you can use are canned stuff and frozen. You can pretty much dehydrate anything, any vegetable that is in a bag frozen, take it out. Sometimes you need to blanch it just to cook it to make it easier down the road. But if you want to use dehydrated vegetables in stews and crock pots and things like that, where you're going to be cooking it, then you don't even have to pre-cook it and then dehydrate. Let's get the lid on and get this downstairs. There you have it. It's that easy to dehydrate. We have our canned chicken. We have a vegetable. Comes in a 4-pound bag. And it also has edamame in it, which is a soybean basically. It's already shelled, ready to eat soybean, which is an excellent protein source. So basically the vegetables themselves can be a full meal on their own. Maybe add some rice or something like that. I'll let that go through the night and I'll check it in the morning. Again, I'll be getting ready for work in the morning, so I'll just grab the camera real quick. We'll go downstairs. The lighting won't be perfect. You'll see it in the morning. We'll do a real quick update on how it looks. I'm pretty sure this batch here I'm gonna let run right through probably tonight and through work tomorrow. So it'll probably be a full 16 hours of dehydrating. When I get home from work tomorrow, it should be ready to go. Hey guys, what's going on? All right, so this has been going overnight. I just want to show you what it looks like. You know, everything's nice and dry. Kind of sounds like, gotta get that crystal kind of sound to them. Here's one of the bigger beans. It's pretty good. Now here's the chicken. Totally dry. You could actually grind it up into a dust if you wanted to, but we don't want to do that. I'm just checking some of the bigger pieces. Really shrinks down. One thing that to consider when you're using this stuff is that it's going to swell back up again. It's going to absorb a lot of water. But it looks dry, it looks good. We're gonna bag this up and put it with the other stuff. All right guys, Blacktop Boondocker, thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.